Hello, everyone. The topic of this video is Mercury, the psychopomp. And the reason is because I'm recording this on the 26th of March. And Mercury lately has been transiting Mars's sign, Aries, and is actually hitting a number of celestial objects that are presently in Aries. What is a psychopomp? Psychopomp in Greek means that someone who is guarding the souls, who is helping the souls to cross over from one state of energy into another, or to one land to another. And if you look at Mercury, its function, Hermes Mercury, its function in astrology and also in myths was to usher the souls, or to have the souls, or to have, but actually to have the gods, of course, which are expressed by planetary archetypes. But also Mercury has a number of myths where he is helping human beings and also souls, the dead. In karmic astrology, the true psychopomp is not really Mercury, but trans-Pluto, because to trans-Pluto, we render the archetype of Persephone, who is Demeter's daughter. And whenever she is in the underworld, when Hades rapes her and takes her down to the underworld, she becomes the queen of the underworld. But in the upper world, Demeter is crestfallen and very, very sad, and wants to get her daughter back. And until she gets her back, she doesn't care for the land. She is, of course, the goddess of agriculture, and everything is dying on earth. This signifies the cold winter months when nothing grows. And so whenever Persephone is with her husband, everything dies on the surface of the earth. But whenever she's with Demeter, she's helping her mother to grow beautiful crops. So in effect, what's happening here, it's a very interesting metaphor, because when you see, this is spring. So I planted a lot of seeds. I got vegetable seeds and flower seeds, and they are nicely sprouting. This is exactly what's happening. Whenever we put a seed into the soil, sooner or later it will sprout. From the underworld, it comes up to the regular world, so to speak. That's exactly what Persephone's role is. So she's also the psychopomp, but what she does is she's really crossing over on her own volition. So it's a different story, because Mercury actually helps other souls to cross over. I found this beautiful painting where Mercury is actually helping the souls to cross over into the realm of Hades, into the underworld, in this cave. And if you look at the planet itself, this is a stylized version of the solar system. Here's the sun. Mercury is the closest planet. And we can see Mercury and Venus as inner planets only near the sun, which means that Mercury is the closest. So it gets the sun's rays, which represent illumination and also enlightenment. It gets the most of it. Mercury is the planet of enlightenment as well. But at the same time, it only has three positions. It is either a morning star, a very early morning star, or an evening star. You see it after sunset, or you don't see it at all, because whenever it is in the sun's vicinity, we can't see it. The average distance from the sun is 58 million. Sometimes when it's in perihelion, it's maybe 70 million, something like that, and maybe just 50 when it's in aphelion. And in the orbital period is 88 days. So in a solar year, you usually see 3 retrograde periods for Mercury. This is when it catches up with the sun, because otherwise it orbits around the sun for 3 months. But of course, we always see it in the vicinity of the sun, so it doesn't come across as something much faster than the sun. It is much faster at the present, for sure. This is the present moment. And the reason why I selected these 3 days, March 28th 29th, and 30th, because I want to show you the process of the Psychopomp. Actually, a couple of days earlier, we had a Jupiter-Chiron conjunction. Actually, it was a fourfold conjunction, Jupiter-Chiron, Australia, and Vesta. About two weeks ago, they were exact. Go back and I have at least 4 or 5 different videos in which I explain this fourfold conjunction. It is now separating, of course, because Chiron is the slowest, so it is behind. There's still, technically speaking, a Chiron-Jupiter and a Chiron-Mercury conjunction, but about 3 days ago, Mercury was conjunct Chiron, which signified a space-time moment when we actually could consciously understand Mercury, our karmic wounds related to Aries, wars, pain, suffering, aggression, fightings, fire, blood, whatever, even all kinds of things related to Aries, of course. And at the moment, Mercury is exactly conjunct Jupiter. I gave you, this is for Budapest, so I'm not, I didn't have time. I was teaching both days, actually 16 hours this weekend, and this is Sunday evening, so I have no time to redo the charts for London. But if you want to take a look at the chart, then create one for 7:42 in the morning, and that's the time in London. The space-time moment is interesting because you have a number of celestial objects in Aries and Taurus, especially when you take into account the asteroids as well, or a couple of centaurs. And there's an interesting triple conjunction with Gemini moon, which is exactly at the spot where in the new moon Mars was, quite interestingly, and it will cross over Mars and dark moon Lilith, which is the curse. So at the moment, dark moon Lilith is conjunct Mars, and then tomorrow they will be separating. You will see it in a minute. So that is the space-time moment. If we take a look at the planetarium, you will see a number of things. For instance, the moon is very out of bounds. It is like at 28 degrees or 27 degrees, something like really out of bounds, so very, very much to the north. We have an applying Venus-Uranus conjunction. According to Judy Hall, my master, she always described Uranus-Venus aspects as the dilemmas of bonding and separation, or the need to be in a relationship and to be free. So freedom and commitment dichotomy, this is how she called it. And yes, but this is going to be a conjunction, and the conjunction is about how two archetypes can work together. And at the moment, Venus is in an applying conjunction with Uranus. Uranus is change, craziness, freedom urges, but also fast and interesting things. And Venus, of course, denotes harmony, love, money, and all sorts of security needs. And when the two are together, you can translate this is a conjunction after all. If you can translate it as some sort of sudden love affair that comes in very quickly. It's very different from what you usually have, and it may just go away in like 2 days and you don't even know what happened. It could also mean that you are able to make money in a very unusual and quick way, and a number of other things. Let's concentrate on this stellium in Aries. As you can see, Mercury is already separating from Chiron and exactly conjunct Jupiter. Don't forget that we need to have the two planets perpendicular to the ecliptic. This is the ecliptic, so it's never actually on the, we look at it to the ecliptic. So that's why you think it's at an angle, but it is actually not if you look at it on the ecliptic itself and not the celestial equator. On the next day, in the small hours, so on March 29th, at 1:41 Budapest, it's at 0:41 London, so right after midnight, Jupiter will be conjunct Austria. At the moment, it's important for you to know that Jupiter is twice as fast as average. The average daily travel is 1 degree, but at the moment it is 1 degree 57 minutes, almost 2 degrees actually. So it's twice as fast as usual. So it actually makes the separation much faster. So it's still conjunct Jupiter, of course, as well, but it is already separating from Jupiter and exactly conjunct Austria, the karma breaker. So far we started with Mercury conjunct Chiron, understanding, realizing karmic wounds. With the Jupiter Mercury conjunction, you understand it best when you consider that the signs they are ruling, Mercury is ruling Gemini in karmic astrology, only Gemini, not Virgo, and Jupiter is only ruling Sagittarius and not Pisces, and Gemini and Sagittarius are opposite each other at the year in the wheel of the year. They are at separate times, of course, and the energy pattern, of course, is also completely opposite, because Gemini is normal communication, gathering information. That's what Mercury rules, and Sagittarius is knowledge and wisdom and synthesis, and that is what Jupiter rules, besides luck and expansion, of course. So whenever these two make a conjunction, then you are fusing these two types of energy patterns, and you are able to consciously, Mercury, understand the true wisdom of things, and you can synthesize, Jupiter, your knowledge. So that is what happens on the first day. And on the second day, when Mercury reaches Austria, you can actually consciously, Mercury, break old embedded karma and change your destiny with the knowledge behind you, which a couple of days earlier, Mercury was conjunct Chiron. So you realize your wounds. The world realizes its wounds. If we look at it in the mundane viewpoint, then it reaches Jupiter. So we are actually getting the necessary knowledge, the necessary wisdom. And then we are able, on the 29th, we are able to break the karmic issues that have been there, and we weren't be able to do it. So here on this day, you can see that the moon is actually forming a midpoint with Mars for dark moon Lilith, which is the acceptance of the curse, and Mars moon aspects usually denote hysterics and all kinds of bad things, but actually it means to be strong, to be a strong-willed soul. This is how to translate it. The moon is very strong in Cancer anyway. And there's another midpoint structure here involving Venus, Juno, and the North Node. And Juno is at the midpoint of Venus North Node. So it means that in order to have a nice, fulfilling, committed relationship, Juno, you need to behave in a way to create really as a destiny, to create harmony, love, and security, and money as well, resources. And here's the planetarium picture. As you can see, Venus is actually getting closer to Uranus. The moon is still very much above the ecliptic, so very out of bounds. And here again, if you make a perpendicular line to the ecliptic, you can see that Mercury is exactly conjunct Austria, but at the same time in declination, Mercury is much more to the north, and Austria is closer to the celestial equator. And then on the third day, on the March 30th, at 1404 Budapest, which is 1504 London, this is what you have. Don't look at the ascendant descendant, because of course for London this is not true. It is true that Saturn comes up to an opposition to Austria. Austria is the dimension, not Austria, sorry, Trans-Pluto is the dimension jump, and Saturn is the Lord of Karma. So this opposition will be interesting. In a couple of days, it will be exact. We are going to revisit it. And then this is the Venus Uranus, so it's almost exactly conjunct by now. This happens every 8 months, so it's not anything special, but the conjunction always gives you the potential to either enter into a very unusual relationship or enter into a relationship as a free soul, as some, with some freedom as that you kept for yourself, or you can actually earn money in an interesting or quick way. And here you can see Mercury exactly conjunct Vesta, the focusing principle. And in another 2-3 days, Mercury will be conjunct Aries. So if you want to see this whole process, then we can see that Mercury made us understand our karmic wounds related to Aries or kinds of things that are ruled by Aries: war, fire, blood, aggression, to name a few. Also violence, of course. And then when Mercury reached Jupiter on the 28th, we gathered wisdom and understanding and synthesis of knowledge. Then with Astrea, we will be actually able to break all embedded karma, and by focusing on it, especially, and then we can actually look at Aries. And I really hope that by the 2nd of April, some sort of peace talk may be on its way. Because here's the problem. The Chinese offered a peace talk and then some sort of peace agreement. And the Americans, of course, immediately rejected it. Because to the Americans, it doesn't care. They don't care how many people died. They don't really care how many lives are being lost. Look at those military interventions or military missions in the last 20 years. How many people died? How many civilians? How many children died? Did the Americans ever care for it? No. And now they are fighting a proxy war against Russia. And of course, it is fought on Ukrainian land by Ukrainians, which is ridiculous. And this is what's happening. And instead of understanding that this goes nowhere, they're still keeping it up. By Mercury reaching Aries, drastically altered outward circumstances, maybe, just maybe, mankind will be able to realize that we are just very, very close to a full-blown nuclear war. It will be ugly. And those who are firing first will die second. And everyone will die. So if this is what you guys want, the problem is that the world leaders are cretins. They are idiots. And look at what's happening in the banking system. They were led by idiots. Let's not even talk about this. I really hope that there will be some sort of conscious understanding, Mercury, how the world destruction can be avoided. Let's hope that this conjunction will be give some sort of hope to the world. And this is it. So this is the Venus-Uranus conjunction. As you can see, the moon is still very out of bounds. So is Mars, but less so. And here you can see, if you draw a perpendicular line to the ecliptic, then you can see that Mercury and Vesta are indeed on the same degree, astrological degree, but when you look at the declination, Mercury is much higher to the north, and Vesta is closer to the ecliptic. So that's it. That's the psychopomp. That's the psychopomp function of Mercury, by helping the souls to cross the threshold to. You could actually look at it as a rite of passage, really. We have a space-time moment for a couple of days where we can consciously understand certain things that might have been hidden so far. This Mercury is ruled by Mars, and Mars is ruled by, not anymore, was ruled by Mercury for a while, so there was a mutual reception. Of course, now Mars is already in Cancer, so it is ruled by the moon, the soul, the spiritual essence. So hopefully this will help us understand the horrible aspects of war and the horrible aspects of complete destruction that we are nearing. Thank you for listening, and let's hope and let's pay attention to the news. Bye-bye.